You set the gold standard for your business. Your website should do the same. Wix puts you at the helm so you can enjoy the creative freedom of designing your site just the way you want. Want someone to bounce your ideas off? Talk with AI to create a beautiful site together. Generate on-brand content, images, media, and simply change or fine-tune any of it along the way. Whatever your business, manage it from one place and tie it all together with a personalized domain name. Gear up for success with a brand that says you best. You can do it yourself on Wix.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Every day when we're on the road, people around us endanger themselves and others by looking at their phones while driving. There's the sneak-a-peeker who darts their eyes between the road and their texts, or the nightlighter who illuminates their car after dark. If that's you, reconsider before you find yourself becoming the fender bender-er, the got a ticket-er, or worst of all, the driver who killed someone. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
Doesn't matter if you were an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The ULM mention is the greatest. You'd hope for the best as ULM fan, but
this is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast with hosts Dusty Thibodeau and Chase Regent.
Chase, you always have such great insight.
Thibs is going to bleep it all.
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
Fish.
it.
Chase, you're back. I don't know what happened to you last week. Was it all the band talk that riled you up and you wanted to go out for sounding today?
You know, I went and tried out, and unfortunately, as we both thought, they said, absolutely not. Please don't show up here again.
He plays a great triangle.
Doubt it.
Hey, there's still scholarship money. There's no shame in it, Chase. No
That's
shame.
true. That's very fair. I'm with it.
Would you ever be a flag guy, though?
I've got the body for it, so probably. That's the shot. That's too big of a shot at some flag throwers. But, yeah, I'd do it. I got rhythm. I can dance.
Please don't.
Thankfully, we're audio only.
So, on that note, knowing that would heat up the stadium, it would make Malone a hot place. Another place that's hot right next door at the softball stadium. Molly Fichtner joins us. 7th year, over 100 career wins with the Warhawks. They're tied right now for second, just behind Georgia Southern, who's coming up here in 2 weeks, where they'll have the home-to-home. Chase, they're a perfect 19-0 at home this season. Molly,
it's electric.
Welcome in and join us. Tell us, what is the secret, first of all, of a 19-0 home streak?
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you for having me. There's actually a story behind it. Would you like to hear the story?
Come on,
we always love story time.
I haven't told many people, so you guys might be one of the first.
Breaking news. Appreciate it.
So my collegiate coach, Patrick Murphy, when I played at Alabama, he called me about 2 weeks before season. And usually we just connect and talk about the season and what's to come. And he starts telling me this story about Muhammad Ali. And I'm going to tell you guys a story. And he says, when Muhammad Ali was growing up, he always wanted a red bike. And when he was 12 years old, he finally got the red bike of his dreams. So he was just extremely ecstatic, goes to the store. He's from Louisville, Kentucky, goes to the store in Louisville, walks in to buy something. When he comes back out, his red bike was stolen. And this little boy's walking around. The police officer comes over and asks Muhammad Ali, hey, son, what's going on? And he goes, someone stole my red bike. I'm going to whip that thief. And the police officer looks at him and says, son, do you even know how to fight? And Muhammad Ali goes, well, no. And he goes, well, why don't you show up here tomorrow at the same time and I'll give you your first boxing lesson. So Muhammad Ali shows up the next day. The rest is history. That was his first boxing lesson. So years go by. He's in his first match and he's sitting there and he's got his athletic trainers and strength trainers all around him. And he's looking at the guy across the ring from him. And his trainer comes up to him and says, Muhammad Ali, what are you thinking about? And he points his glove out, right? And he's looking at the guy across the ring and he says, that blank blank stole my bike, and knocks him out. And so Murph told me this story. Patrick Murphy told me this story. And I said, oh my gosh, this is epic. And so before our first home game against Jackson State in February, I told the team this story. And I said, every opponent that's coming in here this year is trying to steal your bike. Everyone. Don't let them do it. So we run roll Jackson State that night. We turn around 2 days later. We play on, I think it's SFA, maybe on a Thursday. I can't remember. It was, I don't remember who we played. And that morning, the girls loved it. I mean, they took off with the red bike. Like, nobody's stealing our bike. They had it written everywhere in the locker room. So before our second home game, I went to the store. I went to the Walmart in Monroe. And I walked in. I went and got a red bike on training wheels. Brought it back to the facility. Hid it in the bathroom. So when we won our second game that night at home, all the girls go in the film room because that's where we meet to talk about the game and what we need to do better and things like that. All of them went in there and they were just waiting. And all of a sudden I rode in that bike, you know, for like a 5-year-old, I'm riding in on a bike with training wheels that's red, and they just absolutely went nuts. And so since then, everyone at home, someone new rides the red bike in the facility. John Hartwell's done it. Coach Vincent's done it. I mean, it's hilarious. We just grab somebody and say, you're riding the bike in, and then they just ride the bike in, and the girls go crazy.
I don't want to call BS on that story, but no pictures, no proof of John Hartwell being on this little bitty kid bike.
It was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think his legs reach.
On that note, though, I mean, this year's really been a great conference outing so far, game after game after game. What's really been that secret? I mean, because on the outside looking in, the pitching's been there, the hitting's been there, the fielding's been there. But what have you seen from the inside looking out at this season's performance?
You know, we're pretty young. We really are in the grand scheme of things. We got a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and they are extremely competitive. And I think that's one of the intangibles that they've got that we haven't seen in a while, is their ability to hold each other accountable and hold the standards at practice. I mean, we'll have practices and they're getting on to each other. Like, you can be better. You can do that better. We dropped 2 to Southern Miss this weekend. We got the last one, and, we're tied for second in the conference. And then I have players sitting there saying, hey, nobody should be satisfied with 1-1 after this weekend. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to sweep. And so there's a huge mentality shift compared to years past that I think is really big. Our hitting is unbelievable this year. And, I give a lot of kudos to our hitting coach, Coach Daniel, that came in last year. He's really done a great job. We've invested a lot from a development side. We've went out and fundraised for pitching machines that, they can mimic the pitchers at any time. If we're playing a certain team, we can put in the machine the top 4 pitches that pitcher throws, and our girls can do at bat after at bat after at bat and see it over and over and over without knowing what's coming. And so I think, there's certain tools that have helped us from a development side, our staffing, and then of course the number one is just recruits. Who you're bringing in with the facility upgrades that we've got. We've been able to get these recruits now that we might not have gotten 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, Coach, I think that's the biggest thing. I was able to watch you start at ULM and kind of, just facilities progressing, but, the way your team plays and the fan base. I mean, you've got a cool, really cult following. If you ever go to a home game and watch softball, there's some people that go to every single one of them. And I know one of them very well, Daryl Dozier, great guy. But when I think about adapting in baseball, I mean, or in softball, in those two sports, your travel schedule is just terrible. How do you, like, as you're kind of coming towards the end of the season to a point, right? What do you got? A month left?
Mm-hmm.
How do you stay at this point, fresh from the travel? What do you do to make sure that your athletes are in the classroom and going to class and success in class, but also taking control of their bodies and making sure that everything's fresh and ready to go at this point in the season?
That's a great question. And it is one of the most challenging. I mean, we're playing, 56 games in a regular season,
Right.
and it's taxing. And right now, what you're starting to see across the whole at all baseball and softball this is when the girls and the boys, their bodies start wearing down. You're 40 games in now, you're 45 games in, and they just, their bodies are getting tired. And so there's a balance. There really is, as far as, what we do at practice and making it more intentional versus reps. I think that's important, right? When you come back in January, it's repetition. And then as you get going, you might need to back off a little bit and still do, really productive practices, but maybe not the amount of reps, just to keep their bodies fresh. And then it's also challenging because it gets warmer as season goes. So you start off in the cold, and these girls get adapted to, how much they're hydrating and all of that. And then, we go play at, in Hattiesburg this weekend, and it gets up to 80 degrees. It's a completely different shift. They're sweating more. They need more electrolytes. They need more liquid IVs. And so there's a balance, and, having a great athletic trainer, which we do, is a plus. She's doing a great job for us.
Obviously, Hattiesburg not too far away from Monroe, but still a bus trip. What's the bus like from your perspective? Because we've heard about from other student athletes the craziness that happens on the bus. Are you just in the front praying nothing bad is happening behind you, or what's your role there on the bus?
Yeah, I usually do just put my headphones in and just, bebop along, don't really look back. If I hear something outrageous, I will. And usually if it's loud enough, they're all staring at me because they're waiting for me to turn around. But no, they have a good time. They love it. They sing, they play games. It is one of the coolest things, just even when I was a student athlete. I mean, those are the memories that you take forever.
In today's world, I know it's such a, transfer portal and things like that. How do you work to keep a team, right? Like, how do you work to kind of keep these people friends and help them grow friendships and relationships, that'll last them forever?
Yeah. The transfer portal, that's, it's changing a lot with collegiate athletics. There's no doubt about it. I had a student athlete that graduated a year ago, actually, and she said she got married, and she had a couple of her former teammates standing next to her on her big day, and she said, "Coach Molly, it is so crazy to me." And I said, "What?" And she goes, "That you just handpicked my best friends from across the country and brought them to Monroe. Like, it's just wild." And I'm like, I don't know so much about that. It's just a matter of you grow together. And so, it's really cool. You get people all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, North, South, and you bring them together. And, if you do it right, you're bringing in a great group of girls that will have friendships the rest of their life.
One of the great ones you brought in, not too far up the road there, Elle Carter from Neville High School in Monroe. How big was for her to come and stay home at ULM, but then also to kind of start building that local pipeline?
Oh my gosh, Elle's incredible. She's a coach's dream. Between her and Maddie Nichols, having some local support is unbelievable. Elle came in right away and earned her spot, starting freshman at shortstop, and did an unbelievable job. Now she's a sophomore, and she's, locking down that shortstop position. She is probably, if not the best and most athletic player I've ever coached. You tell her one thing and she can do it right away. And we knew that when we were recruiting her in high school, and she played all different sports. She was a heck of a soccer player. And I just, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I can't wait for her to get here, because she's only going to get better because she's so athletic. And now she's only focusing on softball. she's going to take off, and she has. And even from last year to this year, she's increased her batting average exponentially as well. And so she's a great one to have. Her family's extremely supportive as well. So we love it.
So again, we're guys. We only know football and basketball and all that. Players like that really kind of jump out, stand out. They're the first ones that coaches from bigger schools with NIL and everything are going to be like, that's the difference maker that we need. So we want to get them. We dangle the big carrot in front of them. How do you kind of protect your players like that? Or do you just kind of love them, nurture them, grow them enough that hopefully they're loyal to stay here for the 4 or 5 years that they can on campus?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. If you're recruiting, some of the best, you're going to get tampered with. I mean, it is what it is. We'll call a spade a spade. But I would tell you that I think once they get here, and it's the same thing with recruiting. I just, if they're getting recruited from, to A&M, to Florida State, all these other schools, all I say is just get to campus. Just get to campus. That's all you have to do. And our community is incredible. Our young ladies are incredible. And you guys know Monroe. It's easy to fall in love with Monroe. And it's funny because not many people know about Monroe, Louisiana. And we have a theory on our coaching staff that it's because most people don't leave to go talk to people about how great Monroe is. They just stay here their whole life. And so with, that's kind of the game that we play is, we're going to give you the best holistic experience that you could ever imagine. We're going to do everything we can, and you're going to have relationships and things like that. And so hopefully they know that when they're in it, this is a special place that's not like anywhere else.
And the facilities don't hurt either. I mean, you have probably some of the best facilities there in the Sun Belt. Do you kind of sit back going, God, I did this? And I know you're not the kind of person to beat your chest of me, but do you kind of sit back going, God, we did this?
Yeah. I think it happens way more frequently than I thought. Is more so how in the world did we do this in this short time? How in the world did we build this during a pandemic? How in the world did we fundraise this and, get the support we did? And I give a lot of the credit to our alums. I mean, I'm driving back on the bus last night from Hattiesburg, and I've got 3 to 5 alumni texting me that have paved the way, right? I mean, people wanted to support them at the time that the leadership was being built. That's where their money was going. And now our current student athletes get to benefit from what they've done. And they're still super involved. They're texting me after every game, and they're just excited to see the progress and what we're doing within the program. So I give the majority of the credit to them. I really, really do. And then, of course, Gretchen Stanger and Carol Young for being the two leaders of all of that.
Coach, I want to know how you got to Monroe, right? I mean, I know you grew up in Texas, you go to UTSA and then Bama, and then fill that gap in between. What was the process like for you to get onto campus, to be hired as the head coach? Is that something you knew you wanted to do as a player too?
I knew I wanted to coach. I'm just not sure that I wanted to be a head coach, an assistant coach. I wasn't really sure.
Fundraiser.
Yeah, fundraiser. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I've just got this passion for developing young women, and I am like obsessed and a nerd when it comes to softball. And but what's a better way to do that than on this platform? Is now I get to coach these young women, and so when I graduated from Alabama, Coach Murphy actually asked me to stay on as a volunteer assistant. So I did that after I graduated. I received my master's degree during that year. And then I had the opportunity to go play professional ball in Dallas. And I wasn't going to do it because I was a year out. I was a little hesitant. And Murph was like, hey, if you want to coach, you better, get out there and network a little bit more. And I said, okay, well, then sign me up. I got to get my butt back in shape. And so got back on it, prepared, went and played in the pro league. And sure enough, of course, just like every time, Murph was right. And I ended up playing with someone whose best friend was the head coach at Dartmouth College, in the Ivy League. Yeah. And she knew I was looking for a position. She had a position open. She called her best friend, which was Shannon Depking. Shannon was also in the pro league before me. And so Shannon got me up there. I went on a visit, and she offered me the position. So I went up to Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. And again, I'm from Texas. So I had no idea how to drive.
South Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the first day I'm bringing like hot water out to try to like put it on my, windshield they're like, no, it's going to break. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so for 2 years, I was in a little bit of a culture shock, being that cold up there. But it was a great 2 years, an awesome experience, great boss, wonderful girls. And then I got the opportunity to go to East Carolina and run their offense for a year. Cool. And so I went down, and it was closer to home. New Hampshire was pretty far from Texas. And so the opportunity to go to North Carolina, to maybe like a bigger school. And ultimately that's what my decision was, I want to, see something else. I want to be a little bit closer to my family. It is really cold. I told my boss at Dartmouth, I said, look, if we could pick up the school and put it like halfway down the United States, like I'd be cool with it. Like I'll stay forever. But the cold just wasn't for me. And so I went to East Carolina, and then after a year at East Carolina, I wasn't planning on leaving. I enjoyed it. I really liked where I was. And Todd Dooley, who was on staff here, he had worked at Tennessee, and with his connection, long story short, my boss at Dartmouth played at Tennessee, and Todd was working at Tennessee, so they knew each other. Yeah. And because of Todd's time in the SEC, he knew my name and ended up calling me. And I was pretty shocked. I was surprised. I had played at pretty much every single Division I college in the state except for ULM. I had no idea what it was or what it was about. Came on the visit, and I was like, okay, all right, this looks like a place that, we can turn around, but it might take a little bit longer than expected, because we got to build it. It's not going to happen overnight. And so I called Murph, of course, and I said, okay, what do you think? And he said, if you want to do it fast, you're not going to do it the right way. He said, if you want to do it the right way and sustain it, it's going to take a while. So you need to prepare yourself. And I said, well, I'm 26 years old. I've got a lot of life left, and challenge accepted. Let's do it.
Dang. We're glad, Coach. Glad you took that challenge. You killed it for sure.
We're still going though. We still got a long ways to go, but we're going in the right direction.
It's crazy to hear the intertwinedness of college athletics at every level. I mean, Todd Dooley, who's exactly, and how it's all just intertwined. We had Scotty Fletcher on, the new women's basketball coach, talked about how he was a GA there and knew Coleman, knew John, and so that allowed him to kind of propel that way. Who knows who you're talking to next? Yeah. But my question to you though, Chase. She went and got back in shape so that she could go play some pro ball. Yeah. Come on. Where you at, Chase?
Well, you think I'll go train with her when I'm back in town. I'll just go train with the softball team and get my butt whooped real quick. No, dude. I like in and out way too much to be, sorry, coach, to be all kinds of skinny. It's not going to happen to me. I can still run 10 yards. I got to play in me. That's about it.
60 feet. That's all that matters.
That's it.
60 feet and turn left.
6 or 7.
That's for us. That's what I tell our girls. Look, run 60 feet, turn left. You do that, we'll score.
There it is.
These knees don't have a left in them, Coach. I'm running straight. It's going to be the longest single you've ever seen in your life. I promise you. If it doesn't go over the fence, it's best you got is one.
Oh my gosh.
I feel the same way, Chase, because back in my Astros days, we'd get to play the employee softball game there in Minute Maid Park, now Dyken Park, but it'll always be Minute Maid to me. I'd make contact, and as soon as I hit it, I'm already tapping. I need a runner. Like, dude, you could have had a double or triple. I was like, nope, everything's a single.
Gosh, hey, remember the intramural days at ULM? And I'd hit that single, it hit the fence, and I would just look at everybody else and act like my knee was hurt and get a runner because I was not my thing. Anyways, Coach.
So the big news that recently happened there on campus, the student activity fee was able to pass, pumping about $600,000 into the athletic and spirit group coffers. what does that mean to know that you do have some good support there out of the students as well as the administration, really able to kind of position it so that it does pass this time, knowing that it's failed multiple times in previous years?
Yeah, it actually failed, I think, my first year I was here. And so what a step in the right direction for athletics. I mean, I just can't even tell you how excited I am. John put in so much hard work. I know he did. And it's cool for me to sit back and see him, because I know how much this meant to him as our leader, and understanding that it's only going to trickle down to all of us in our athletics programs and what we can do for our student athletes. And then the other organizations on campus too. I mean, it's not just us that's going to benefit. And so I think it's a huge step in the right direction. Coach Vincent did a heck of a job as well. Getting people to just be knowledgeable about what it is and what it's going to mean for our university.
Yeah, huge get. I remember it failing twice during, my years there. And I think it's, we had campaigned, but nothing like John has. And the way that he was active on social media, holding the students, the student meetings, that student athlete meetings, all the above. I know you came in and then you watched that transition of AD. What's your relationship? Oh gosh, sorry, Coach. What's your relationship like with John, and what have you learned from him in y'all's years together now? Years, wow.
Oh man, yeah. It's been a ride as far as ADs. The one that hired me wasn't there, and then we had another one, and then interim, and John came in, and gosh, man, it's been fun to watch him. He is, in every way, I would say he is a coach's AD. He just understands what we do in and out every day. He's always taking my phone calls whenever I need something. He's always there. And he understands more than anything. And I think that's what every coach wants is, to report to somebody that understands what you're doing and why you're doing it and the decisions you're making. And I just couldn't be more grateful to work under him.
I know Hartwell has thrown out a first pitch there at softball. I think all the other coaches have as well. Did you have a critique for them? What coach has the best first pitch that you've seen?
Oh my gosh. So I will have to say Scotty threw the first pitch last week. And I was teasing him because he was like, I'm not sure how to throw it. Like he was, going to throw it overhand. And I said, no. Like you got to throw it underhand. Like give me your best wind up.
Yeah, you got to have the full experience.
Oh, and Scotty, I mean, energetic, like ready to go. And he's like, challenge accepted, coach. And he goes out there and he just whips that thing in. And it was like right there on the money. And I'm like, Scotty, like, let's go. And then he runs through the line and gives everybody high fives. And so his was pretty epic. I got to say that.
I asked that question and I was like, in the back of my mind, I hear John going, she better say me. She better say me.
I watched John's first pitch out of baseball. It wasn't great. I don't think that's I think
that was a rough outing. That was a rough outing for the Vols.
I don't, maybe not his strong suit, but I'm sure he can still shoot a basketball. Coach, I asked, you've been here, you've been in Monroe for years now, right? And I don't mean to make you sound old, or feel old, but I ask this to every single guest that has been in Monroe for a while. I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite place to eat?
Warehouse.
Come on. Finally, a respectable answer, an educated answer on this podcast.
That is I don't go often, but people know in town that really know me that if they want to get me something, it's usually a gift card to Warehouse because I love that place.
I still can't do it. I feel ever loyal to Waterfront there. So,
I do love Waterfront. I do love Waterfront.
It's not either or, Coach. Don't worry. Warehouse is great. So is Waterfront. But a steak from Warehouse?
Yeah. It's tough to beat that.
And now we know why Chase is not playing weight anymore.
This is why I fill this chair up really well. Absolutely.
So, Molly, we close it out as always. You're doing a phenomenal job there. The great facilities, the great work on the field this year. what can people do to support this program to get it that extra step and that extra win that's needed down the road?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I would right now, I think that the most immediate impact is just coming out to our remaining home games. We've got Georgia Southern. I think we play Grambling in a midweek, and then we host Georgia Southern that weekend. And of course, Georgia Southern's at the top of the conference, and so we want people to know when they come here, this is not an easy environment to play in. For years, Lafayette's been the toughest environment, or one of the toughest environments in the Sun Belt, and we're ready to switch that to Monroe. And so I would just say for right now, the most immediate impact is getting out to our games, being loud, being supportive. We've got additional seating now in the outfield area. Come out, have a good time, heckle our team, heckle the other team, whatever that looks like. Just come out and be loud.
Love that.
I've never heard a coach say, yeah, come out and heckle my players.
Heckle our team.
Don't care, man. Whatever it is, make it loud.
Don't make it personal. Don't talk about the chair, but scream at everybody. I love that.
Yeah.
Coach, can't thank you enough for stopping by. Look forward to it. And looking at the schedule, yeah, I'll be in town for Georgia Southern. Chase won't be, so I'll send him pictures.
I think I'll be on a cruise, so sorry, Coach.
Wow. Well, you enjoy that cruise. I think we can all say we're a little jealous about that. So
no, I'd rather be in Monroe. Don't worry about it, Coach. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time tonight.
Yes, and we'll see you, Tip. I'm excited to see you there.
Are you someone who tries to drive while distracted by your phone? Someone who props it on the steering wheel or peeks down at it for a glance? Or just scrolls and scrolls? If so, you could be the next person to get into a fender bender, get a ticket, veer off the road, or even cause a crash that kills you or someone else. Enough already. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
You set the gold standard for your business. Your website should do the same. Wix puts you at the helm so you can enjoy the creative freedom of designing your site just the way you want. Want someone to bounce your ideas off? Talk with AI to create a beautiful site together. Generate on-brand content, images, media, and simply change or fine-tune any of it along the way. Whatever your business, manage it from one place and tie it all together with a personalized domain name. Gear up for success with a brand that says you best. You can do it yourself on Wix.
We'll be there. Chase, I love these interviews with the coaches, student athletes, administrators.
I like kind of getting to know them a little bit. You know what I mean? Getting to kind of see the man or woman behind the curtain a little bit. Exactly. I think it's fun. And your interview with the basketball coach was it was a good one.
Thanks.
He's an energetic guy. I mean, he sounds like he's from Monroe already, you know. So
he was very energetic, but he was fumbling his phone the whole time, and so the audio was maybe not quite where it needed to be. But man, he was on fire.
We got to get him a podcast. We got to get John Hart. We got to say, John, we need you to create a podcast studio on grounds, right? Like, let's take half of his office. He doesn't need that big office. He's never there anyways.
Just take his office, period. I mean, we had a post-game press conference in there, so why can't we do it in there?
Did you really?
Yeah. I forget what game it was, but yeah.
I like that office, or Michael Gammon's next door. Take his too. I don't know. There's a couple different, I'm just saying. And maybe a little podcast studio. Most of them sound fine.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we catch a lot of people when they're driving home and this and that. So I don't know if I think it's cool to be able to, we're already so deep in this podcast. I didn't think we'd get to this point.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, maybe no. No, I had
Bleav?
tons of faith, and I knew that we're each going to be able to quit our day jobs for this. I'm excited.
I wouldn't go that far. We got to get some serious sponsorship there. So we heard about softball. Obviously, not a great weekend going 1-2 at Southern Miss, but they do hit the road again, going to App State before hosting that 3-game series against Georgia Southern over Easter weekend.
Crazy.
Baseball, though, 1-2 as well. Those two losses, terrible.
Yeah,
Absolutely
they're
terrible.
tough numbers to look at.
Yeah, it was a lot of crooked numbers. Got beat Friday night 14-2. Game 2 was suspended due to rain, so it wound up being a doubleheader on Sunday. ULM did rebound with a 13-11 win before falling 5-17 in a 7-inning game.
Dude, they scored 45 runs in 3 days, in 3 games.
That's rough.
That's rough. That's rough. I mean, just tell I didn't watch any of them, if I'm being honest. So, and they were on TV, so shame on me. But I mean, is pitching our problem right now? The bats seem okay as you look through the scores here a little bit. It seems like they're, for the most part, able to put something on the board.
It really feels like everything. I mean, I think the defense has been fairly solid, but just the pitching has been there. The bats haven't, or the bats have been there. The pitching hasn't. And this team just isn't as strong of a power hitting team as you would want to where they can outslug another team. Yeah. Right now, they currently sit 14th in the standings. Top 10 make it to Montgomery.
Ooh.
So they're not out of the running yet, but it's definitely it's getting there.
Tough, man. After we talked to Fed, I was really excited and hopeful for the team this year. And, Blazer was a cool interview. I don't know. I hate that the guys, I hope they can pull something out, but not much. The clock is ticking, my friend.
For sure. And then this weekend, it doesn't get any easier when they host Louisiana Lafayette. So always a tough out when you face the Cajuns there.
Hopefully
they'll then host also the team down the road, Louisiana Tech, in a midweek before heading to Troy. Another tough out that's nationally ranked.
That's tough. Well, to be fair, though, we've talked for months now about how this was going to be tough, right? Like this was never going to be an easy schedule or any of that. Just
no,
and hit them in the face.
Yeah. But I don't know what the right answer is. I know that there's a lot of fans that are saying Fed's got to go, Fed's got to go. I don't know if you get rid of Fed and get another head coach if that fixes the program.
No. I think eventually, listen, in that world, I think eventually you do have to make a change. I don't know if it's the right time. You've now had to hire a women's and a men's basketball coach. You got to think about this fiscally more than you would other places. And I know a lot of fans don't like to do that, but there's some challenges and some costs that you accrue when you get a new coach. And if you do that twice, that's tough. Then you have to do what we did, to keep Vince in here. Is it probably the right year? Probably not. Now, is Fed's seat getting warm? Probably. But not I think you need more stability than that right now in the athletic department. That's my completely unexperienced professional opinion.
Yeah, and I remember the great Josh Brooks, the former associate AD there, now at Georgia. Talked to me one time about kind of the economics of coaching, though, that there's always the mathematic formula of if this coach stays, we're costing this amount of contributions to the program, to athletics overall. So it's kind of a cost analysis. All that to say, though, Chase, as you said, we've already had to hire a men's and women's basketball coach. Don't want to add baseball into the mix. Not to mention just wound up hiring your deputy AD. And there's the perception of the budgeting coming out where the university as a whole is working in a deficit. All that to say, I still think Fed's our guy. I think if anything, you throw a little bit more resources at him to try to help him be a little bit more successful.
Then you got a real excuse. You're right. You throw some resources at it, you commit and say, hey, you're not getting this or, X, Y, and Z. I'm sure he's got a list of things. You give him a couple of those and if the results still aren't there, I think then you got, then it's a understanding.
Not a lot has come out about football, Chase.
Yeah, that's good.
When we talked to Bryant Vincent, he very much took the approach of, hey, it's spring. It's the final year of the spring portal. We don't want to be getting poached, so we don't have a football team. We have no practices.
Yeah, y'all shut up.
All is great in the world. But this upcoming week, we will get a chance to get a glimpse of maybe what he has to offer with a spring game on Thursday night. I'll be in attendance. I know you said you would not be able to.
Yeah, I lied, Molly.
For vacation.
That's when I'll be on a beach. I hate that. I hate that for you or me. You can tell me all about it on the next pod, though. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'll try to.
Yeah, I think it's good that, he's done exactly what he said he wanted to do. He wanted to hold close practices. He didn't want anybody there. He wants to see what his team looks like. He doesn't want people. I think that's the way you got to, you want to talk about some of these schools doing open practices. I don't think that's in ULM's future or cross practices. You know what I'm talking about? Like where they're playing
kind of an exhibition game.
Yeah, I don't think that is to the advantage of ULM right now. So I like that there's no football on. There's not too many, you don't want coaching changes and all that. I see Coach Welsh, who we need to have on here after spring ball, is loving it, doing great. Looks like they've, I've heard some good rumblings out of what spring ball looks like right now.
I did like James and Madison looked like they had a little skills competition with O-line versus D-line. Offensive line got to play a little receiver and go out.
Love that. Oh, yeah, fat guy 7-on-7. That's the stuff.
Yeah. So nothing like seeing the big kid laying out for a ball.
Well,
I love it. Yeah. I used to remember back in the Barry era where they would close out practices of how much did you have to run if offensive lineman or defensive lineman could catch a punt even.
Yeah. You remember those days, dude? I loved. Hey, I'd fair catch it all day. I never once actually caught it though. I think I cost us every single time. They started putting Joe Tread back there. Joe Treadwell was just natural born receiver.
Jaron Johnson also 6'6". Another solid one. I always thought he should have been on Hands team because I never saw him drop one.
No, he should not play on Hands. I think it was him, and then we tried to have. Oh gosh, did you want to talk about those days of Josh Allen trying to catch him, John O. Fisher trying to catch him? Those guys, my freshman year, they were terrible at it. It's a hard thing to do. It really is.
It is, but I think that maybe a skills competition like that is what we should really propose for the spring game.
Yeah. Like you're trying to change it like the Pro Bowl, like you want to do
whether it's the walking football for the offensive linemen for the full 7-on-7. Quarterbacks got to try to kick the PATs.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is watch receivers and running backs block. Like have them play interior offensive line, make them do one-on-one pass rush.
Yeah, no, you got to not. You just got to feature the guys in the trenches, really. It's more of an offensive line, defensive line showcase than anything else.
Love it. I hope the spring game, I hope he doesn't just run inside zone every other play, And
how great would that be, though?
I got a feeling you're just going to watch inside zone, outside zone. He runs the stretch. You're going to watch a lot of that. Watch a drag route, slants. That's you're not going to get anything crazy.
No, nothing at all. But how great would it be, though, that there's the guy in the stands that's scouting for St. Francis or for whatever opponent that we have this upcoming season, and he goes 5 wide, and they're like, "Guys, we got to be ready to defend it. They're going to pass. They're going to pass."
Yeah. He runs the air raid the whole time in the spring game. It just runs bubble screens constantly, which I think he ran like 4 of last year.
Yeah,
that'd be great. No, that'd be fun. Cool weekend ahead of you.
A lot of talk about that season opener against St. Francis. No, St. Francis is not dropping down to D3 this year. This year, they are still FCS. It is at the conclusion of the 25-26 athletic calendar that they will be dropping down to D3.
Oof, I did not know that. I heard people kept calling them a D3 team, but I didn't get why, because I knew they were FCS, but unfortunately have not. I wonder how how do we get hooked up with those guys? You know what I mean? Like what weird, I know athletics, as you heard Molly talk about, this is just super networky in the sense that, people know each other from across the country, but how do we get hooked up with St. Francis? They're in Pennsylvania, right? Before I mess that up again.
Yes, they are.
I just wonder how that happened. Was that you?
It was not me. It was actually former AD Scott McDonald, but I've never heard the full story of how he hooked up with St. Francis to put them on the schedule. Because this game has been around and on the books for 3-4 years. So this is not a new last-minute signing.
Whatever. Hopefully it's a season opener that we need.
I hope so too. I'd love to see some records fall. I hope that I am not one to say run it up, but at the same time,
boy, you put 90 on them kids first game of the season, huh?
Yeah,
you're gonna start having some crowds,
and then we'll go to Bama the week 2 and just hope you get out of there healthy.
God, I hate that saying. I hate that saying so much. That's when I knew my friends from high school and college, they would text me, be like, hey, make sure you don't get hurt this afternoon. I'm like, dang, are we about to get drugged like that? When people were wishing me well against these teams, I'd text back, no, we're going to win. It'd be 45-7 at halftime. Anyways, yeah, not great for I hate playing Bama. I think, thankfully, Saban's gone. Thankfully, the little gremlin's gone. But I don't like playing. I hate these games. I want to go play like, Wake Forest. Still make some money, but can slap them around.
I want to see the Warhawks come back to Texas. Go to Rice.
Rice would be fun. Who would pay who there?
U of H.
U of H. Now U of H got a little more scary, but yeah.
SMU, UTSA.
Well, the UTSA would be cool. You're just talking about down U. Why don't we say SMU or TCU or?
Because I don't want to go up there.
Or why don't we meet in the middle at A&M again?
No thanks.
Yeah, I don't. That's not. I hate Kyle Fields. God, hate that.
How about we just go out to El Paso every year?
God, that's what 12 hours from you, like 10 from me.
Flight and hotel booked. By the way, I will officially be at the UTEP game.
As will I, but I got to drive to Monroe to fly over it.
Negative. Southwest, you're my friend. Please sponsor us.
Southwest and Daily Press. That's who deserves to be our sponsors.
Hey, that's what we need. That's the fuel we need to keep going.
I'm going to start poaching the sponsors from radio, asking them to do the podcast.
We're cheap. We'll do it. We'll do it really cheap.
I just want a T-shirt, if I'm being honest. T-shirt would be nice.
No, I need some money so I can pay for my Southwest.
Yeah, if we could use, if we made enough money to sponsor our travel out there, that'd be great. We'll do live pods from the. We should do that, Thibs. We should do a halftime pod.
Are you allowed?
I'm allowed. Yes, I don't do a halftime show. I just do the halftime interview right before coach walks in, and then I'm good until kickoff.
Interesting.
We get a solid 10, 15 in. I wonder if they'd let us do it from the sidelines.
Can't stop us.
I think they can stop us. Absolutely. I'm just,
let's
ask Martin about it. Ask one of our handlers about it next time we see him.
We do love the handlers.
Mm-hmm.
Chase, what do you have before we wrap up this week?
Let's see, Thibs. What do I have? Hey, I want to say a sincere thank you to any ULM student that got out and voted. I think it's an underrated thing to get this done in the sense that, you might see 600K and feel like it's not big enough to make a dent, but I promise you we'll make a dent. And I know that it's big from those that have watched athletics, ULM athletics and ULM student base have watched, where we're headed. I think you got to understand that athletics is the front porch of your university, and we can continue to improve that, continue to improve your ULM experience and everything that can kind of come from making this investment in athletics. I don't think we're too late. I think we're on the edge of that, but I don't think we're too late. I think it's such a cool thing, and I love that it got passed, and I hope that those attending are comfortable with it and can hopefully learn what it means here in the near future.
I'll close it out, welcoming back an old face, to the Bayou, Dr. Nick Bruno, back at the helm of the university, and to try to right the ship on the academic and the financial side, to welcome in a new president, hopefully sometime over the summer, with a clean slate of personnel as well as fiducial responsibilities.
Okay. Big word.
Chase, it was so much fun. We'll do it again sometime. I don't know, because you're
I don't know.
you're cashing in the chips there on the Carnival Cruise.
I'll do it from the boat.
You know where your business would be without you. Imagine where it could go with more of you. Well, with Wix, you can create a website with more of your vision, your voice, your expertise. Wix gives you the freedom to truly own your brand and do it on your own, with full customization and advanced AI tools that help turn your ideas into reality. Scale up without being held back by cookie-cutter solutions and grow your business into your online brand. Because without you, your business is just business as usual. Take control. Go to Wix.com.